Well, here we go. I wanted to review both Les Paul Prophecies back to back in a single day, and I did just that, starting with the Red Tiger first, and now I'm doing the Black Aged Gloss. I reviewed these two side by side so I can form a solid opinion about the Les Paul Prophecy model. They are extremely desirable, a lot of my friends want one. So I had to be absolutely sure in my verdict. Let's see what I think about them. I just love a solid black guitar with a shiny chrome or nickel hardware. The other two finishes are beautiful, but this is absolutely badass. Unlike the red and the olive colors, this one doesn't have the AAA flame maple veneer. It is just solid black, like your soul. Simply put, it is the third generation of the Les Paul Prophecy, a versatile metal machine. It is the same as the Red Tiger that I've reviewed. Or is it? In this video I want to discuss something else. I've already showed you what the Prophecy is made of. Go check the Red Tiger video if you haven't done this yet. What I want to talk about now are the consistencies and inconsistencies of production. I've done this with the EC256 LTD series when I explained that two guitars are never the same. Fortunately or unfortunately, this applies to the high-grade Epiphones as well. You see, most modern Epiphones are produced in Qingdao, China. It is a subcontractor factory that makes other brands as well. The trouble with this is always the quality control. And when you have such a high demand for a guitar like the Prophecy, obviously Epiphone wants to meet that demand and produce them as fast as possible. They can't raise the prices though, because people will complain. This results in some quality issues and inconsistencies between the same models. More on that a little bit later. Now, if you're not new to my channel, you've probably seen some of my Prophecy videos like the Extura in black gloss that I've did, my previous video about the same Prophecy but in Red Tiger Aged Gloss finish, a couple of old generations like the second generation Prophecy and the Futura. If you haven't seen any of these, I'm gonna link them above and you can go check them out later. The reason that I'm reviewing the Black Aged Gloss so close after the Red Tiger is that I wanna check for those consistencies and inconsistencies. Here's the official listing in the website. As usual, here are the specs as well, starting with the body, neck specifications, hardware, electronics, and other. Now let's check out that black metal machine in person. As promised, I'm doing the Black Aged Gloss directly after the Red Tiger, not even a bathroom break. Get on the workbench! And straight out the box I noticed that they've put on the strings wrong again. These are Grover locking tuners, the strings are not supposed to be wound around the tuning heads. The locking tuners were not locked as well. I'm gonna fix that and I'm gonna do a setup, even though this was set a little bit better than the Red Tiger. The factory setup is barely playable on both of them. Anyway, let's go through the specs and this is gonna be rapid fire. We have mahogany body, carved hard maple cap, no AAA maple veneer for this one. Set neck construction, a mahogany neck with ebony fingerboard. Abalone block and triangle inlays. 12-inch radius on this one, 24 jumbo frets, 24.75-inch scale length. Black tusk new bone nut, inspired by Gibson headstock, the beautiful custom diamond and Grover automatic locking tuners. A set of Fishman Pickups specially made for the Prophecy series. Epiphone lock tone, locking bridge and stop bar. 4 push-pull pods that control the individual pickups, the tone pods control the modern and vintage voicings, the volume pods control the split voicings. That's a lot of combinations with the 3-way switch. So satisfying. The bridge Fishman Fluence measures at 19.2. Switching over to the neck and let's wait for a second until it settles. This one is a little bit holler at 20.5. Both pickups on the Red Tiger measured at 20. Middle position, it's gonna be around 976. Here's a better look at that Epiphone lock tone locking bridge. The Epiphone logo on the bottom, it locks with some notches in the holes, individual cellos held in place by a single spring, metric, thumb wheel and flathead screwdriver adjustable. A brushed nickel Epiphone lock tone locking tailpiece to complement the rest of the hardware. Brushed nickel is the theme that continues with the control knobs, which are bridge volume, bridge tone, neck tone, and these are the two voicings, modern and vintage, and these are the split voicings. Knurled brushed nickel knobs with this cool accent on top. Speaking of a top, this is still a curved hard maple top, but doesn't have the AAA maple veneer that the Red Tiger has. It still has a multiply binding on the top, no binding for the back. No poker chip for the 3-way switch, giving this a clean aesthetic that I absolutely love. Mahogany neck with a set neck construction, the binding continues alongside the fingerboard with black side dot inlays. Gorgeous ebony fingerboard with abalone block and triangle inlays that have been selected to go perfectly with this color. This is a modern type of Les Paul with 24 jumbo frets, 12-inch radius and 24.75-inch scale length. And I see some marks around the frets that I have to investigate, try to clean up and oil to see if they can go away. I'll inspect the fingerboard closely a little bit later. Here is another inconsistency. The nut on the Red Tiger was matched perfectly to the neck and the headstock. This new bone graft tech is sticking out a little bit. You see what I mean when I'm talking about inconsistencies? For example, this was set good, but the nut is not done well. There's some mess around the frets, the routing underneath. Obviously, you cannot have an absolute perfect example. The setup was done wrong on this one. You're pretty much rolling a dice when you're ordering these online. Moving on to the inspired by Gibson shaped headstock, same on the Red Tiger. The beautiful Epiphone logo and the gorgeous custom diamond, Grover automatic locking tuners and a aged gloss satin veneer matching the body finish, which is pretty cool. Here's what the truss rod cavity looks like, a two-way adjustable truss rod covered by this gloss Epiphone bell. 2-ply, black gloss on top. It's not busy like the second generation Prophecy, it was written Les Paul, Prophecy, etc, etc. It's a clean look that complements the satin veneer. It is a cool contrast between gloss and aged gloss of satin. The measurement confirms my suspicion. The nut is 0.2 mm wider than on the Red Tiger, so it's sticking out a little bit at 43 mm. The 12th fret is almost a millimeter narrower than the Red Tiger as well, a small difference here, not noticeable. Epiphone are bang on with the thickness of the first fret though, 20.5 mm or 0.80 inch. Thickness of the 12th fret, 23 mm or 0.90. A solid 12-inch fingerboard radius, thank God for that. The previous second generation Prophecy had the 14-inch radius and I absolutely hated it. Most Les Pauls have a 12-inch radius. The same asymmetrical slim taper neck profile as with the Red Tiger. More shoulder towards the low E strings to support your thumb and rounded off towards the high E strings. The body measures a little bit thinner than the Red Tiger. I think it's because this one doesn't have the figured maple veneer. Aesthetic touch, the covers for the electronics are black satin to go with the back of the guitar. I don't want to be too nitpicky, but I think Epiphone could have gone with the black screws. A square nickel plate for the output jack and original strap buttons on the back and near the neck joint here. Here's a little side-by-side comparison between the cutaways for the high fret access on the Red Tiger and on the black aged. Seems that the finishing touches of these cutaways are done by hand, so they are a little bit different from each other. Looks like the Chinese workers did a good job on both of these. This cutaway is absolutely crucial because it makes playing on the last frets absolutely possible. You see, the second gen Prophecy had the full thickness body with the binding and all, and accessing the high frets was a little bit uncomfortable. Shout out to Epiphone for going all the way and making those comfort cutaways. It is still a set neck construction with a heel, a low one, and this is where the binding of the body meets the fingerboard. Slim taper asymmetrical neck profile. Near the headstock we have the QC inspection sticker, handcrafted in China sticker. The cool inspired by Gibson headstock, serial number, made in 2022 January. This confirms the QR sticker under the pickup. 15 indicates that this was made in Qingdao, China, same as the Red Tiger. And I love the fact that I went with Grover locking tuners for these. Now I'm gonna attempt to deal with these marks near the high frets. Although I suspect the fingerboard is scratched from a buffing wheel when polishing the frets or something like that. Unfortunately, my suspicions were correct. I like this fingerboard more than the one on the red Tiger because it's darker, but these marks are scratches on the ebony. Whoever installed or polished the frets scratched the fingerboard, and it's never full happiness with these Epiphones. You might say, but George, what's the problem? Just return it. But remember what I told you about the demand for these and the supply? If I return it, it's probably gonna be months until I can get another one. And who knows what problems will the other one have. What I can do is disclose this with my customers and do the best possible setup that I can. And I've done just that. I am gonna lower the strings a little bit more. This is the proper way to put strings on a locking tuner. I just wish that the Chinese factory would take more care in teaching their workers how to do the setup. The 3rd gen Prophecy has weight relief to the body. It is surprisingly light at 8 pounds. Now let's hear it. Don't get me wrong, this is a good guitar. I just wish it was a little bit better. I mean, I'm tired of defending them. I'm tired of defending Gibson and Epiphone. I'm tired of hearing people say, oh, you can get a much better guitar for less money from Harley Benton. but that's a topic for another video. It's intentional that you don't see hardly Bentons in my channel. Let's talk about that price tag, $800–900. If you compare the 3rd generation Prophecy to, let's say, its rival, the LTD Eclipse series, the Prophecy stands between the EC256 and EC1000 series, right in the middle where the 400 series of the LTDs are. Now, I do understand what Epiphone are doing. They wanna make a cheaper guitar than the EC1000. That's why, to cut some costs, you don't get the Fishman Fluence modern pickups, you get specially made ones for the Epiphone. I admit that $800 for the European market is a sweet spot for a lot of players, but here is what I would like. Make it $1,000, include a hard shell case, up the quality control. Give us some more pickup choices and a gloss finish. Or keep it as it is and make a plus version.